answer the first question.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Coach K was about to say something.
Go ahead, Coach K.
Why not Tan? I think Tan was about to go too. But
Oh,
do you want to go,
well,
Tan?
no, go ahead, because I'll go, because I wanted to go back to the first
Yeah,
thing
you
that you
could.
did. No, you can go
You
ahead.
go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
Somebody
I
go.
promise, because I'm still formulating my thoughts, and I'm trying to figure out that when I think of Miss Independent, I'm thinking of the song by
Neo.
is it no was it Lil Boozy? Is that what that's
I
what
didn't
I'm
see
thinking
that.
of.
That's when I stopped listening to music.
Oh,
I don't know that
okay,
one.
Coach K.
Yeah.
NDPE.
Yes, that's
Her
what I
own
always think
car.
of.
She
We
And
got
I'm
got
her
like,
our
oh
own
own,
yeah,
own
there is
car. Yeah,
Nia.
we got
So
our own.
it's basically the
That was a
same
vibe.
thing. It's just saying she has her own. She can stand alone without a man. You know.
She's an adult.
So that's I think they
We
had
got to
the
get
same.
this
I don't know all the
terminology
lyrics
down.
to that.
Welcome back to Money, Marriage, and Media. Today we're looking at She Critique, back with the Lapeef Experience. We're also still looking to get 1,000 subscribers. That's the goal. So let's go ahead and jump into the video, see what we got.
Issue with women being independent or educated. And when we say independent, it doesn't mean she's bossing the relationship. It's more like she came in with her. It's kind of like the song, Miss Independent. She's got her own thing. That's why I love her. That's kind of where that title came from. And maybe we should have broke down what Miss Independent meant as far as this conversation is concerned. But I find that a lot of men
adult
who are educated as well don't have the issue as much as individuals who are not.
So, this goes back to when you look at men, we talked about it a little earlier in the back chat, right? Like, men are extremely romantic. We're actually very much understanding, especially like you have to look at the way men applaud women in our circles. When women do the same things we do, like when it's in the military, people have some kind of facade going that, oh, men are trying to ostracize women and put us out of our circles. When women do the same thing we do, we cheer for them harder than women do. Women get jealous of other women. When a woman is when the goal is to do 50 push-ups and a woman does it, ain't nobody be looking like, oh, we like, yeah, girl, that's what I'm talking about. We're happy for you to do it because we applaud and we know the effort it took to do it because we did it too. So that's the same thing when a woman has a degree or she's focused. You just recognize the level of focus she has that matches yours. So you're going to naturally be more open to saying, well, that's just the way she is because that's how anybody would be. You know, she needs to move forward and make something of herself, whether I'm here or not. That's why she's acting this way. Right. So it's more of a respect thing. Now, where that comes, where that starts to come as a problem to men who don't have that education. I really don't think most men will tell you up front on a date, well, it's kind of intimidating, you're really smart, but they're saying that to please the woman. It's the way the woman behaves. Women are very immature power wielders.
Translation: men will say just about anything to get sex. That's what we're going. That's what that boils down to.
If you have it, you're going to misuse it. Remember, I told you women with power behave like a short man given power over tall men. You wield it incorrectly. You always bringing up your degree. You're always telling them how much smarter you are than them. Men aren't immature power wielders like that. We don't want to beat down on the woman who knows less than us. We feel a benevolent type of spirit to nurture over her. Let her know that we're good. Women wield power way like worse. You trying to crush these men every time you have I should never even bother with your ass. That type of stuff. That's what women do when they have power over men, especially in the form of education.
That's also part of the reason why. Well, let me save it for the summary.
We're gonna get to that. Triggerberg, I think he's just like reading my mind here, but it's okay. We're gonna table it for a second because he brought up my next question, but I want to make sure we answer the first question.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Coach K was about to say something.
Go ahead, Coach K.
Why not Tan? I think Tan was about to go too. But
Oh,
do you want to go, Tan?
No, go ahead, because I'll go, because I wanted to go back to the first thing that you did. No, you can go.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
Somebody go.
Promise, because I'm still formulating my thoughts, and I'm trying to figure out that when I think of Miss Independent, I'm thinking of the song by
Neo.
Is it no? Was it Lil Boozy? Is that what That's what I'm thinking of.
That's when I stopped listening to music.
Oh.
I don't know that
Okay,
one.
Coach Craig.
NDVE.
Yes, that's what I always think
Cars.
of.
We
I'm
got
like,
our
oh
own
yeah, there is
car.
Neo.
So it's basically the
That was
same
vibe.
thing. It's just saying she has her own. She can stand alone without a man. You know,
She's an adult.
So that's I think they
We
got
got to
the
get
same.
this
I don't know all the
terminology
lyrics
down.
to that song,
'Cause,
but I
this
think
is
they're about the same.
Well,
most times. This is one of the big problems is that we can't get a concise definition for stuff because it's two different. We're working with two different running definitions of independent woman, right? One of them is she's just a functioning adult. Yeah, you can pay your bills because you have a job. Congratulations, you're an adult. The other one is that you're hyper independent. The ultra masculine women, I don't need a man. That's a little. I think that, maybe with these hyper independent women, maybe we just need to start calling it what it is. They just may be masculine women, because I already told y'all I don't buy into that whole alpha and beta thing, and too many times people misuse the term alpha female. I'm not even gonna get into that on this episode. Maybe I'll do a short about that or something. But it sounds like for this video, for the confines of this video, we're talking about a woman who's a functioning adult. So I don't know why we celebrate that like we do. I mean, yeah, well, I guess you could, because most men, well, no, we're not celebrating that. You're a functioning adult. Congratulations. Go find you another functional adult, and y'all go get married and have kids, build a family.
Are men, I don't think men are bothered. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a man.
Okay.
I don't think men are necessarily bothered by women who are independent. Like when they're coming into a situation with a woman who going from that definition, with a woman who has her own car, who has her own home, who has, her own things. I don't think that they're necessarily intimidated by that or don't like that.
You are correct.
Okay, I think it's more along the lines of, is there an attitude behind that comes along with it? So if the attitude is, I don't need you, I got my own car, I got my own house, that kind of stuff, I think that is more of the issue that men have versus women coming in with their own things. Actually, I think men can appreciate that, because I think for them, part of it would be more of I'm looking at the way that she can take care of herself. She does these things for herself. She's able to grow and do those things on her own. So coming into a marriage, I know we're kind of on the same mindset of trying to, advance as a couple. So I think it's more so the attitude behind it of maybe putting out the energy of maybe unintentionally, some intentionally, passing on a wrong message that that she doesn't really need him. And I think that's where the issue comes in.
Love an independent woman, can't stand a boss bitch.
Hmm.
And that is I have some information about that, but go ahead. Did anybody else want to speak on that topic before I move on to the next one?
So
I'll just no, you go ahead, Tian. I'll be quick. So you go ahead, Tian.
Oh, you'll be quick. Go ahead then.
All right. Honestly, I mean, I know it's hard for me. I know I'm the white person on the panel, and I'm like trying to think about at least people I know from school and things like that. And when I think about it, some of the girls did go to college, and I remember someone saying the MRS degree, and I was like, why? So, and I just remember I never thought about this type of stuff. Like I was under the same impression of, oh gosh, I wasn't even thinking about what a guy was making or whatever. I don't know. For some reason, I did feel like I had a moral high ground or something like that. Even I don't know why though. Like I wasn't really thinking of a man and what he brought to the table, but I wasn't really thinking about marriage at that time. I mean, I was probably in my early 20s. So it's just interesting to think about, again, broken record. I never really thought about this stuff in this way until Kevin Samuels, and all of this makes so much sense to me now.
This is why I say the vetting process is so important, because she's given the typical answer for a woman her age. This is why you have a father. You're supposed to have a father there to vet you, to vet the man that you're interested in on these topics, because clearly, like, it looks like, I'm almost certain Trigger Mike is older than Coach K, but he is very articulate, and you can tell he's a dad because of the way he talks about these specific topics. So yes, and a father is going to look at things completely different because we have the benefits of experience, right? So it works even more so in your favor when your father is also married, because married men who have children think differently. It's just, we're always concerned. We're almost always concerned with long-term results. And I still believe in what I said before, is that today we're raising our kids not to trust the opposite gender, to the point where, daughters don't want their dads to vet men for them. Well, I can do it by myself. I don't need him. But then you look at the divorce rate, and no, women leave 70% of the time because they're unhappy. So, yeah, vetting is important. There we go.
But I don't know, and I wasn't taught to really be like this. I mean, I had a single parent, single dad, but I don't know. It's just interesting because I definitely can relate to having that kind of attitude in a way, and I see it even with my own sisters. And I've definitely gotten better, but I definitely think it's how a woman treats her.
That's interesting. She's talking about she grew up with a single dad and she's got sisters. That's unusual. Most cases, well, let me not get into that because this video is not about Coach K, but let's go.
Man, or treats other guys too. And also I was thinking about, it's almost like everyone has degrees now at this point too. So that's kind of interesting at a societal level. Like, they're not worth as much as they used to. But either way, I think it's just the humility, I guess. But yeah, that's all I got.
So there were a couple of things that I had going back to Trigger Mike, but I'll mention, I think, what Mistaken was talking about.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because we're going to dig a little deeper into it. So go ahead and answer it, and I'll tell you if it's going to go into our next question, because I don't want us to jump the gun, but go ahead.
Okay, so I'll go back to what Trigger Mike was saying in the very beginning when he was saying many Black men were raised by single moms, and you guys saw independence firsthand because you were raised by a single mom. Well, I guess that intrigues me because as you were talking, I started to think, well, yes, you were raised by an independent mother, but who did you see your mom being submissive to? Like, you saw the independent mom, but you necessarily, if I'm envisioning and just talking aloud, who did you witness your mom being submissive to? Does that make sense?
Personally, me, I didn't. Yeah. No one ever. And
that's part of the problem.
Ever.
So I guess I'm trying to equate having an independent mother and the whole submissive thing, because I guess as I listen to that, because you make it a lot of sense, but I'm still not connecting the pieces with that rationale. Yes, you were raised by an independent mom, but being raised by an independent mom, you're not seeing firsthand your mom being submissive to anyone in the household.
And that's part of the problem.
Well, I wasn't raised by a single mom.
Not you, but
a single mom.
I was, and I'll be more than happy to dive into what I was able to see. Well, it depends if the father's in the picture. So for me, just to give a little bit of context to Tan, single mom, yes, but I did split time with my dad, who lived in Dallas, Texas, which was about 6 hours from where we lived, and he of course got remarried. So I got the opportunity to see the dynamic in their relationship. Also, I I spent a lot, not most of my time, but I spent a lot of time with it's going to sound awful, but with my Caucasian friends because I played football and we had that in common. And going over there, got a principal. The principal of our school was my best friend's dad, and his mom was a school teacher. So I got to see what those dynamics actually look like. In contrast, all of my friends, all, all, all of them back home in the I don't want to in the projects. It was all single moms, and they never got to experience any of those things that I got those relationships that I got to experience. Oddly enough, where I'm at in life, and this is not a jab at them, but where I am, they're not even close. They're still living in the same city, doing pretty much the same things. Whenever I go back, it's yo, you still a cook?
They never turn the corner.
You're not owning the joint yet? What are you waiting on? So I fortunately got to see the dynamics, and I had different people in my corner. They didn't get to see it. They didn't get to see the submission, so they had.
So this is where I say when I talk about how we're raising our kids to be, at ends at odd we're raising our kids to be odds with the opposite gender. You grow up in a single mom household and you never see her be submissive to anybody, then that's when you start growing up and you start to pedestalize women, because what is your source relationship telling you? Well, it's mom to son. That's where that comes from. And then you can't figure out, then these guys end up getting into red pill rage because they're the nice guy and it's not working. So they can't figure out what's going on. Now all of a sudden, look, we've been down that rabbit hole before. That's another video. The point here is that you have to be able to, this is why the nuclear family becomes so important, because you have to be able to see, you need to model two people working in cooperation with each other. If all you have is one side, you have one parent who's doing everything, then that's what you're going to be looking for that's what your expectations are going to be in a relationship. So let's say you never pedestalized women, you never picked up on that, but it's still going to be hard for you to cooperate with a person of the opposite gender because you're so used to one person doing everything. So let's say let's say that you are, you develop into an overachiever. Well, you become that person who's doing everything. That's not going to last. Eventually, you're going to get tired and you're going to get frustrated with your partner, and you're going to either sabotage or just walk away from the relationship. These source relationship things, we can't get away from it. This is why I say, we're raising our kids. We got to do a better job.
They have relationships that are up and down, even with the same females, because they didn't get to see it. So the relationships are up and down, and they have kids, then they're not married and don't plan on getting married and things like that. So, and they still, they're still trying to up that number. I'm gonna smash the next chick, right? So it's
instant gratification.
I believe because of some of the things I got to witness and got to observe firsthand is what helped construct me into who I am today. And them not being able to witness it, didn't get to see it, and thus are still in that repetitive cycle. But what I will say, the 6 that come to mind right offhand, every single one of them are in their children's lives in some way, whether it's with the mom and not being married, or if they get their child. They are active participants in their lives. Because I think we all looked at it like we are not going to be our dads.
So did that answer your question, Tan?
It did.
I just wanted to provide some insight. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it does provide insight. I guess if I could connect the dots or try to connect the dots, when Trigger Mike was saying a lot of Black men were raised by single Black women, and of course they like independent Black women because they were raised with one, firsthand. You see that Black independent woman, but that's in a different position. That's a mother figure. But when you marry a Black independent woman, and that Black independent woman is wanting you to do, and this is me assuming the whole independence role, wanting some things that a man to do equally, like the cooking and the cleaning and things of that nature. Maybe if one is equating that to some of the roles or requests of an independent woman, the Black man hasn't seen the mom be submissive. So when you get with what you see or what you think you want as an independent Black woman, you didn't see your mom being submissive, but now you're with an independent Black woman, and maybe she is also not as submissive, just like maybe your mother wasn't as submissive, but you didn't see that in your mom because there wasn't an opportunity to see that. So maybe you think you connect with Black independent women more than you really do.
Gotcha. Okay, I see.
Who, me?
No,
Not-
she's just saying in
not
general.
you.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm okay if you're saying who, me,
I
because,
don't think
or
she's
if you're
talking.
saying me, like for
No,
me,
she wasn't
the
talking
way
about
I
him.
see it is, I I need a woman who is able to take care of herself and be independent that way. And that's the only way I'll actually even have that conversation. Like, I'm not gonna walk. Like, we're not gonna really get into a relationship if you don't have your own. If you're 35, 30 to 35 plus, and you don't have your own car, your own house or apartment, and your own job, you this is, oh my god, this is gonna sound so bad. You don't really qualify to have that conversation with me. You're not on my radar, and we're not gonna get deep into it. As soon as I identify you're still living with your mom or your baby daddy and you're trying to get out, no, I'm not gonna deal with it. I'm just simply not gonna deal with it. But I'm also not gonna deal with the attitude of the person that does have their own house, their own car, but they're that boss bitch. You can't tell me ish. Okay, keep it moving then. You're right. I can't.
So here's where this conversation starts to go off the rails, right? Because the AP is looking for a specific woman, and we never talk about this, right? Although I've mentioned it a couple of times. Again, remember, relationships are about balance, right? So this gentleman is very articulate, knows what he wants. He knows what's going to provide balance to him, what he's looking for in a relationship. That now the problem comes in is that women will watch this and say and think, oh, this is the green light. You know, not really. We're still at the yellow light because different men have different needs, and it's based upon the man. This is why I say, number one, the most important thing women can do if you're looking for marriage is try and understand the male experience. Number two, figure out what your strengths are, okay? Out of the 6 categories: fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive, childless. You need at least 3 to 4 that are going to match up with the man that you want. Now, again, but the caveat, that's why I say it's a yellow light. You have to proceed with caution because every man is different and we're looking for different things out of the 6. You need to find the man that you want and then find out if the 3 to 4 out of those categories, if you're exceptional at those and you guys are a good match. The problem, see, and this is why I say, to him, it's important that you be a functioning adult and be able to stand on your own 2 feet. He said you got to have your own house, apartment, a car, a full-time job. He didn't say full-time, but that's what he meant, right? And you got to live on your own. To other men, some of those things might not be important. Like I've recently heard other men talk about the fact that, well, she don't have to have her own place. That's not important. Most men wouldn't have an issue with a woman who is living up under her father's roof because that's traditional. But again, not every man is going to go down the rabbit hole of a woman being traditional. There are a lot of men who are willing to say, okay, well, I prefer somebody who's more modern. Now, these men will never admit this on the internet, but in a way, he just did, because traditionally women did not make enough to have all that stuff on their own. So, but look, this is a great conversation, man. We got to. I'm gonna have to tune in for that next episode because to get that next question. Because yeah, and I'm also looking for the word. Usually when this YouTube talk about when we talk about independent women, right? The conversation inevitably goes to, well, I want to be interdependent. It's a buzzword. That's all it is. But it does describe what most people are talking about. So what do we learn here? Well, this whole independent woman thing can go one of two ways. And it really just which way it goes really just depends on, the tone of the conversation. So and that's completely up to the moderator, which direction they want to take it. This time we were talking about the functioning adult definition, but it's important that we be able to break that down so we know, so we can give context to these talks, so that we're not carrying the wrong talking points over to the next video, or more importantly, into our everyday lives. Because the functioning adult, that's a real thing. Most guys would prefer that at some point. It's just how much. What things are going to be important when you're talking about a functional adult. That's, as a woman, that's up to you to figure out as you're getting to know the guy. But that's good enough for me. I'm gonna say goes to the next time. Peace.